And welcome back to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB, the 50,000 watt blowtorch. Normally, I have a intro that I like to go through. It kind of sets the mood and everything, but um, I just want to take a moment here to talk about being Mississippi strong and helping our friends and neighbors who are in a tough way right now. We hear it on the news, reporting with all the power outages and all the ice, and the government is doing everything it can. But if we just depend on the government, well, we're in a little bit of trouble, ladies and gentlemen. And I got this passed along from Brother Clay and Brother Andy. I did see this yesterday, but Andy Gibson, our ag commissioner, came out and is asking for people who want to help out with donations to go to the Fairgrounds Armory. It's open to receive donations for the winter storm. I have friends in Oxford. I'm sure you do too. It's just absolutely punishing the people up there. I know that they've got the student union open as a warming center. There's a lot of places that don't have a lot of uh, ability to go ahead and keep people warm. Not everybody has a generator. So if you are interested in this, you can go ahead and bring donations to the Armory over at the Ag Center there in Jackson, the Fairgrounds Armory. And Commissioner gives it on good authority that they're taking at least a truck up there every day to try to help people out. And, we have our brother's keeper, Oxford, up there who is doing great work with our J6 people. They've been without power since the ice storm hit. And, things that a lot of us take for granted, some people don't have. So if it's on your heart, if it's in your nature to go ahead and do something like that, then definitely, definitely go by the ag center's armory and go ahead and drop some stuff off. I know that after the show today, I'll be bringing by some water, and that's the least I can do. Some of us can do a lot. Some of us can do a little. Some of us only pray. We need that too. And I'm telling you what, it's important that we show not just our friends up in northern Mississippi, but we show the United States and the world. Uh, Mississippi, they say, has a bad reputation. Now we've got a great reputation. We look after our own. We take care of each other. And this is just another example where we can go out and do that. And I'm grateful and thankful that we have people like Andy Gibson in Mississippi who is leading by example, using his platform. I'm grateful and thankful we got people in Mississippi like Clay Edwards who's using his platform to get the word out. Kim Wade, others. And if there's somebody else out there, you don't want to necessarily take it to the Ag Center and the old armory. You want to take it to a different place to get it up there. That's great too. We're all on the same team here. We don't want to see our fellow Mississippians suffering out in the cold without power. And while I'm thinking about it, shout out to our line crews, huh? Who I was talking to one of them, uh, sitting there. We're in a group chat, and as fast as they're putting up new poles, other ones are coming down because the ice is thawing, and it's just a miserable battle that they're doing right now. But our linemen up there who are working in miserable conditions, getting the job done, working extended hours, trying to turn the lights on and put the heat back on for people. We just salute you, and we are so grateful and thankful for you. And I just wanted to start the show off that way. Wanted to make sure that people understood there's a lot more going on, and I've got lots to talk about, and we'll get into it. But we are streaming on Rumble. We are streaming on X. We are streaming on YouTube, and we are streaming at WYAB.com. So if you can't pick us up on the 50,000 watt blowtorch, the stream is working, people. The stream is working. Please follow me on X. It's just Andrew Gosser, AndrewGasser. The phone line, 601-879-0002. The text line is open at 601-879-5060. And the mission here on the Andrew Gosser Show, this 28th day of January, 2026, is to equip the saints. Who are the saints? Y'all are the saints. It's hard to believe it's been 40 years, but it was at about this time that Mr. Centers, our school principal, wheeled the entire school into the lunchroom at Algonquin Road School, and we were a pretty well-funded school for a public school in Illinois. We had 6 TVs, and we were gonna watch the first teacher astronaut launch into space, Krista McAuliffe. Many people know about this. 51L, Challenger, and I was a nerd. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I followed the space shuttle program for a long time, and I was sitting there with my science teacher, Mr. Spicala, and we were talking about it, and I was talking to my friends how cool it was, how great the space shuttle was gonna be, how it was gonna be flying twice a month, and within a few short years, we'd be flying into space like the airplanes were taking. I mean, we were being sold a bill of goods with this space shuttle, and, that was NASA's job, to fly the space shuttle safely and efficiently. And I can just remember it lifting off, uh, that cold Florida morning, and it initiated the roll program. Many of us who've watched Space Shuttle launch before, initiate roll program, roger roll. And it arched over onto its back and it went up. And I can remember with my friends, we're a bunch of 7th and 8th graders. We're all hooting and hollering. The 4th graders are at the other end of the thing. They're sitting there just drawing crayons and doing whatever. They weren't really paying attention like we were. And I just remember noticing a really weird flame, and I looked at my science teacher, Mr. Spicala, and I said, "Mr. Spicala, I think it's on fire." And Mr. Spicala looked at me like, "You dork, there's fire coming out the back end, that's what a rocket is," and then it happened. And I will never forget Mr. Spicala looking at me, his face just turned completely ashen, and he was like, "What did you see?" And like I said, I was a nerd. I've watched enough of them to know where there's supposed to be fire and where there's not. My friends were looking at me. Kids started wondering what was going on. I can remember a couple of my friends who were girls, Michelle and Laura, started crying. They shut off the TVs, and we just went on with lunch, and they tried to, like, tamp it down, but you could tell all the teachers were really upset. I was upset. It was a really sad day. We lost 7 great Americans that day, just doing what they were supposed to do. Now, I'm not gonna get into the accident review board and point fingers at company X or scientist Y on why things happened the way they did. And if you're really interested in that, that's a discussion for another day. I'm happy to have it, but those of us who know. But I think it's important that we reflect upon this during this time. NASA has a week of reflection, a day of reflection, because within this 1 week, we had all sorts of bad things happen. We had the Challenger incident. We had the Columbia incident just a few days from now. And that's a crazy story too. Maybe I tell that one. We had the Challenger incident, we had the Columbia incident, but we also had the Apollo 1 incident. And I think it's an important reminder, especially as we're going through the stuff that we're going through right now as a nation, that we're a nation that does the hard things. We take the risk. We try to manage and mitigate risk, but we take the risk nonetheless. The US space program, everything that is the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, it's known worldwide. You go to Italy and you can't speak a lick of English, but you say NASA, they understand that. You go to Afghanistan, you can't speak a word of Farsi or hit Pashtun. You say NASA, and their eyes will yep, they know what NASA is. Everybody knows the American space program and incredibly how successful it is, and it's a kind of like a badge of honor. It's a badge of honor, but it's not perfect. I only know one thing that's perfect, and we haven't seen that in about 2,030 years. It's been a hot minute. But I say this because if we forget our past, we're just doomed to repeat it, not just with the space program, but with civil rights, with patriotism, with the enemy that is communism and socialism, how sects and groups of people come into power inside the United States and other countries, and they take a great set of ideas, a great philosophy, and they warp it and they corrupt it. They make it look like it's something good, but in the end, it's really something bad. It's wrong. It's despicable. It's evil. Institutions supposedly being able to trust, being nothing more than a propaganda arm for a nefarious group of actors who are out there taking advantage of the greatest economy on the face of the planet. Everybody can say it's China. And yes, they do have a manufacturing base that is incredibly large, but the workmanship and, dare I say, quality is severely lacking compared to what America can produce. Can. Can is the key word there. Do we always do it? No. Should we always do it? Yes. But do we always do it? No. And because we've kind of sold ourselves out, for lack of a better term, for convenience, for the sake of our pocketbook, because we just don't really feel like working like we used to work, we've allowed certain things to creep into our society. We've allowed certain ideas to promulgate amongst not just our seniors and adults, our leaders, but the youths of America. And now we are about to go into a time where right is not right, wrong is not wrong, the lines are blurred, everything's a gray issue. 50 Shades of Gray? Nah, man, this is like 256 shades. We're in a rough spot. And I sit there and I talk to my son, my oldest son. Well, actually, all 3 of my sons are very political. Uh, wi they're wise when it comes to politics. They've got a good grasp on stuff. That doesn't mean that they're all conservative, that they all think the way that their dad thinks. It's funny, my oldest son, who I call my senior political advisor, he's like, "Yeah, a lot of people like Reagan, but do you know that he did this, 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 and this?" And I'm like, "We don't even talk about that in the history books." And we have had this malaise pushed over on us for so long, and now it's starting to take hold. It's starting to really have impacts on us. We feel it with what's going on in Minnesota. We feel it with what's going on in New York. We so many people ask, "Andy, why are you talking about the Commonwealth of Virginia?" I'm like, "Have you looked at the stuff that's coming out of there? We're not paying attention." And here's the thing, this is what I'm gonna say, it's not necessarily all your fault. This is all part of the plan, and I can prove why Minnesota is kicking off the way it is. I can prove why President Trump is doing everything he's doing. I can prove why NATO is scrambling and thumping their sabers and beating their chests. I can prove it. And I promise you I will right after we take this first commercial break right here on the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. Yeah, welcome back to the Andrew Gosser Show. I take a lot of time show prepping and getting things lined up in a certain way. And I hope that comes through the radio, through the microphone, through the speakers. And we were talking about how history is gonna repeat itself, and we've been talking about on this show, it's been a consistent theme here at the Andrew Gosser Show about what are they really hiding? We've talked about how there's just so much happening in the world. It's coming at us so fast and in a way where we are all collectively plugged in to the World Wide Web. Think about this. We say it all the time. You are what you consume. If you eat a lot of ice cream, you're going to be fat. If you eat a lot of good food and you work out, you're going to be healthy. What are you doing with your free minutes, your free seconds? Are you self-improving? Are you consuming entertainment? There's nothing wrong with that, by the way. You know, there are people out there who wanna make you feel bad because instead of reading your Bible, you'll spend 15 minutes catching up with your sports team. I don't think I'm wrong in saying this, but you sitting there taking 15 minutes out to catch up with your football team is not gonna take you away from God. I'm not making an excuse not to, but I'm just using that as example because that's like the ultimate, right? It's like, "Oh, how come you didn't go out and do this activity?" Well, you know, my son's on the football team, and I'm enjoying watching him, and we were sitting there getting ready to scout his next football game, and we're looking at the opponent. That's great. That's family bonding time. That's wonderful. They want you to do that. So there's all these different distractions in life, but when they're really trying to cover something up, when they're really trying to hide something, they're gonna start throwing all sorts of craziness at you, like this pretty dude who the week before got in a confrontation with ICE, and ICE cracked his rib, and they said he was on some type of medication. Can I tell you what it was? It was a painkiller. It was an opiate. Yep, and it is common and consistent with what they give you for cracked ribs. Normally, people don't like getting involved in street riots when they've got cracked ribs, but Pretty was a special occasion. He was a super soldier. So, what is the one thing on this earth that everybody, no matter the culture, almost every culture, there are a few cultures, and you'll not understand when I say this, that condone what has happened, but almost every culture in and of itself is absolutely repulsed when adults take advantage of children. And we cannot tolerate that. It will literally bring the most pacifist person into an enragement. You're ready to go kick down doors and storm the hell with a water pistol. Some of us have super soakers, and they had to do something to cover this up because as we walk further down this line, things are gonna start to slip, and I know that this person is target number 1 of Donald J. Trump, target numero uno, and I support the president on a lot of things. I'm a 98 percenter when it comes to President Trump. But when I disagree with him, I'll say it so in a way that is still respectful, where we can disagree and not sit there and go full flamethrower mode. That's not what we're supposed to do. But listen to what this congressman said, and then I'm gonna tell you the date.
You replied, according to the transcript, there is no credible information that he trafficked them to anyone else. According to victims who cooperated with the FBI in that investigation, these documents in FBI possession, your possession, detail at least 20 men, including Mr. Jess Staley, CEO of Barclays Bank, who Jeffrey Epstein trafficked victims to. That list also includes at least 19 other individuals, one Hollywood producer worth a few $100 million, one royal prince, one high-profile individual in the music industry, one very prominent banker, one high-profile government official, one high-profile former politician, one owner of a car company in Italy, one rock star, one magician, at least 6 billionaires, including a billionaire from Canada.
Now you know why Minnesota kicked off like it did. And for those of you who are keeping score at home, that is the one, the only Thomas Massey, representative from Kentucky, widower, scientist, lives completely off the grid. You wanna talk about somebody who truly believes in green energy and living off the grid? Not like these Hollywood liars, LARPers, fake Green New Deal people. Thomas Massey, his farm, it's all off the grid. He had a great life with his wife and kids. He didn't have to go to Congress. He didn't have to go do the things that he did. And I feel for the dude. Losing your spouse at such a in early 50s, I think it was. Brutal. But Thomas Massey is not a conservative. He is a libertarian. He caucuses with the Republicans, and he tends to vote on the Republican side of the ticket. But dare I say, Thomas Massey has a spine, a titanium spine, and he's gonna get crushed. The system will work against him. He'll be absolutely obliterated. And if I'm wrong, I'll come back and say it, but I think my political sense on this is pretty good. Kentucky's got that libertarian streak in them. They got Rand Paul, Thomas Massey. This came out on the 20th of January. These officer shootings started kicking off, especially the latest one. Why? Because you've got at least 20 prominent world figures who have been caught trafficking, and it's being held by our Department of Justice. Our Department of Justice. And we cannot forget that our Department of Justice is rocking and rolling, everybody. By the way, yes, I just retweeted that 52-second sound clip from Thomas Massey talking about all those people that are in FBI that the FBI has knowledge of. So I ask you, what is our FBI doing? What is our Department of Justice doing? I'm gonna play this sound clip every day until something happens.
Rape, homicide, manslaughter. That's who they're trying to protect in Minnesota. I do not understand these people. We sent Governor Walz a very strong letter.
Let's send
today.
letters.
We had been working on this letter. We got it out saying that he better support President Trump. He better support the men and women in law enforcement, because if he doesn't, we are. And
I can tell you, everybody listening to this radio station right now respects law enforcement. They might not like everything that they do, but they respect it. And we are not calling for any violence. We're not calling for any mass protests. We want law enforcement to do their job. And people are sitting there coming out here, like really good friends of mine, national posters, saying Trump's in the tank. You know why Trump's in the tank right now? Do you know why his approval ratings are falling? It's not ICE. It's not what's happening in Minnesota. I voted for that. You voted for that. Whether you went to the election and voted or not. That's what the American people voted for. We wanna clean up our streets. We wanna get the illegal aliens out. And the truth is it's the Trump DOJ. It's the Trump FBI. Yep. They've got a 8-pound burrito on their plate, and they're not even cutting it up. They're just kinda they got, like, the fork and the knife in the hand, and they're kinda pushing the burrito over to this side, scraping a little bit of the refried bean over here, looking over at the rice over here, looking at the chips and salsa over there. They're not doing what needs to be done. I I am so certain of this. When I hear everybody tuning in, giving me texts, telling me that they're so upset with this Epstein thing, it is gonna be the thing that can take Trump down. I think it's the only thing that can. And we don't want letters, we want results, whether it be with the cleanup in Minneapolis or whether it be with the Epstein files. I just realized I went way long, and I've got so much more to say on this, but you are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back. During the break, we're gonna go write a letter. That's what we'll do. That'll teach them. Yeah, we are back here at the Andrew Gosser Show, saying things that need to be said in the public square, the discourse, not screaming and yelling at each other, not sitting there calling each other names, but really breaking it down. And Brother Dogfish in the chat brought up a really good point. He asked if I had listened to what Glenn Beck had spoken about and his take on Minneapolis. And I do agree with certain aspects of it, but there are certain aspects I don't agree with. And I'll just say that I am grateful and thankful that to this point the president has not enacted the Insurrection Act. I know that's not a popular opinion. I know many of you will want that to happen, but let me explain it to you. That is exactly not what the political left wants. It's not even what the Democrats want. It's what that third level, the international crime lords, for lack of a better word, that's what they want. They want the instability. They want the friction between the left and the right in America. They want us all yelling at each other. They want us to remain incognito. They want us not to come out and publicly speak about it, but behind the scenes, they want us to mask up. They're gonna subject you to a bunch of propaganda to make you think you're a super soldier. Next thing you know, you're gonna be in Bud's class standing next to Sean Ryan, Rob O'Neill, amongst others. You're hard, you can do it for a minute. You can get through that, never realizing the whole time you're just a pawn in their game. So I'm glad for that, but, I am gonna continue on this in saying that our DOJ has failed and our judges have failed. And this only works. This system that is America, this grand experiment in a representative republic, only works if we all have the same common set of morals, and we don't. There's some people who are pro-life, there are some people who are pro-death, there are some people who are pro go ahead and protest, there are some people who are like, "Do you really need to protest that way?" There's all these different quote unquote "shades of gray," but not 50. Get your head out of the gutter. As my one of my very liberal friends said, "It's a very nuanced approach, Andy. You've gotta take it for each one individually." And I'll tell you what I do not like. I do not like these Monday morning quarterbacks who break down a shooting like it's a Super Bowl instant replay. And as it goes in slow motion, you're like, "Oh, he should have known right there." And look, I know that there's some pipe hitters listening to this program who have actually had to line up and squeeze, pu push the pickle button, pull the trigger, and some people say that time slows down, for some people it doesn't. But what I would say is this: when you are in that moment, you are there to protect yourself first and foremost. And for some of these green-haired, nose-ringed, whacked out liberals who are saying, "See, it was a cell phone. See, it was a cell phone." You do not know what going through that officer. I'll tell you what I do know is that when I see a group of police officers attempting to take somebody down, I'm not gonna inject myself into the story. I'm not gonna sit there and do that because I do not wanna force a human to have to make a decision. "Oh, Andy, it was his right to be out there protesting." This guy wasn't protesting, he was an insurrectionist. He was a tool. He was a pawn. He was a character. He was an instrument to try to push President Trump to enact the Insurrection Act. And to be fair to President Trump, he is well within his rights at this point to enact the Insurrection Act. It doesn't matter that he cut a deal with the governor, Tampon Tim Walz, and it is alleged that the state of Minnesota is now turning over all of the illegal aliens in their custody, whether it be state, local, sheriff, whatever. They're turning them in. And if you go and look online, the lefties aren't happy with that. They actually stormed the governor's office. You can go out there and find it, which just goes to show you that these leftists really don't care about anything other than what they've been programmed. And that's something else. The more time that I begrudgingly spend looking at this, the more inclined I feel that humans are nothing more than a Commodore 64 with the 1541 floppy disk drive that you could just sit there and program them and have them do whatever they want. You might have to subject them to 40 years of declining programming, starting off with Captain Planet before you get them to K-pop Demon Hunter. But they can be programmed. You look at these kids. I mean, it was great. I was watching, Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA is actually embedded inside these protesters. And you've got all these individual socialist groups out there actively fomenting this. The signs are bought all and paid for, all being funded by these NGOs, non-government organizations. And our senators and our congressmen can't even turn off the spigot to these NGOs. And then we wonder why America is simmering the way it is. You have World War II veterans crying as they're on their deathbed saying, "This is not what I fought for." It's just a bad, bad deal. And they'll continue to turn the screws, especially as we get these individuals, out there. In Dogfish is saying O'Keefe, it was, James O'Keefe and not Charlie Kirk. Brother, I've got it on my X account. Um, I know O'Keefe's out there too, so is Cam Higby. But I'm telling you, this was a Turning Point USA implant as well. They said I mean, it's awesome. He's right there getting the signs, looking at everything. I'll try to find it during the break and re-exit. B but this just goes to show you another point that I wanna make. Minnesota wouldn't even be what Minnesota is right now if it wasn't for a small independent journalist, Nick Shirley. And let's make one thing straight right now too. When it comes for independent journalists, the GOAT is James O'Keefe, Project Veritas, before it got stolen from him. Who? A bunch of people on pharmaceutical boards who became part of the board of Project Veritas and kicked O'Keefe out of his own group that he formed. And Project Veritas still does little stuff now, but they're so watered down and manipulated under the thumb of whatever pharmaceutical company has control of them now. That's why we need more people doing local independent journalism. And I just wish some people would go up to some of these journalists over at ABC, NBC, locally here saying, "How come you're not talking about this?" Clay Edwards had Shad White on today talking about his report. I'd absolutely love some Zoomer, some 18, 19, 20-year-old to go to UMMC Medical Mall and see what the heck's going on. Go to some of these other NGOs and do your own research. Help your community. I'm telling you this, all the billions and billions, if not trillions and trillions of dollars that have been given away, we're not only in debt, but we're giving it away to people who hate us, who want us dead. We need that here. And when we get back, I don't know if it'll be the last segment of the hour or the next segment, but we're going to talk about these people uh, highlighted in Shad White's report. And we should talk about doing some citizen journalism. People sit there, come up and ask questions all the time. As a recovering politician myself, I don't mind it. I never had anything to worry about. It really bugged them. You're listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back. Oh, yeah. Welcome back to the Andrew Gosser Show. Brother Dogfish was asking questions about what was it, James O'Keefe for Turning Point USA. This is, and the problem is I had to go look for it during the break. There is so much data and information for you to consume out there. It's impossible to keep it all bookmarked and everything. But I got this. This is coming from the X account, Frontlines Turning Point USA, Frontlines TP USA, and I've re-X'd it. And I've listened to this once. I can't remember if there are any curse words on there. I am going to take a career and professional risk and play this with my hand on the deedle button, and, we're gonna just listen to it. It's a minute and 6 seconds long, but just I'll let the audio speak for itself.
Look at this. Here goes a group of professional activists renting a U-Haul, getting signs out of their trucks. This is not organic. These are the same
Justice for
printed
Alan
signs.
Pretty.
And now they're heading to the federal courthouse.
What do we want? When do we want it?
Do you know who's organizing this?
And I just gotta say, when I see white cracker kids out there with these Palestinian scarves wrapped around their neck, and they have no idea what the heck that actually is really symbolizing, it infuriates me, but we continue.
The PSL Party for Socialism.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to sign?
I'm just going to observe. Thank you, though.
Tuck in, meet your neighbors, because again, hey, remember, we're not doing this by ourselves, right?
Which group is organizing this?
Party for Socialism and Liberation. We've been out here for a few years.
How do you join? Like, if you want to also donate?
It's pretty easy. You can look it up, pslweb.org.
Got it. Is there like a Minnesota or Minneapolis chapter?
Twin Cities.
Twin Cities. So, okay. So people can simply just donate and goes to signs and whatever out here to protest. Okay.
If we don't get it, if we don't get it.
And again, that is powered by Frontlines TP USA. They're out there. They're admitting it. And we are back for the second hour of the Andrew Gosser Show right here on the 50,000 watt blowtorch that is 103.9 WYAB. And we are streaming on Rumble, and we are streaming on X, and we are streaming on YouTube, and we are streaming at WYAB.com. If you can't pick up the signal, please, please, please follow the stream. And if you're at while you're at it, give me a like on YouTube, a like on Rumble, a follow on X. It's just Andrew Gosser. I'd sincerely appreciate that. I know I've been a little long-winded, but if you want to be part of the program today, you're more than welcome to. 601-879-0002. Text line is open at 601-879-5060. It's cold out there, everybody. We got to stay warmed up. The mission here at the Andrew Gosser Show is standard. We are here to equip the saints. Who are the saints? You are the saints. And I'm just been dwelling in Judges, and I just this just continues to just give me thoughts and different ideas about stuff. But it says, in those days there was no king of Israel, no kings, no kings. Can't have any kings in the United States. But here it is. Everyone did what was right in their own eyes. This pretty guy, he was doing what he thought was right in his own eyes. This Renee Good, she was doing what she thought she was doing. She was doing good in her own eyes. People getting DUIs, doing right in their own eyes. Reading things like, I need a new butt to second graders. Yep, Toby Price was doing what he thought was right in his own eyes. The judge that initially ruled, yep, Hines County, you have the right to fire that dude. That judge was doing right what he or she thought was in his own eyes. And now a judge has overturned that, and this dude is back in the public classroom, in the schools, looking at second graders' butts, telling them they need a new butt or not. I've actually got the audio to the book, and I was kind of wondering if this was like a LGBTQ LMNOP psyop kind of thing, and it is. You can actually go look on YouTube, I need a new butt, and you have white female liberal teachers with the rainbow supremacist flags in the background and everything else reading this book and then being so happy and cheerful about it too. Second graders shouldn't be worried about anything like that. Second graders need to be worried about what's going down on the playground, going outside, learning, growing up, having a real education, not worried about all of the depravity of the society that they're being brought up in. This is coming from Brother Kingfish, and I will use him instead of the other mainstream media source because I do not agree with them. And this is coming from Kingfish. Toby Price got his job back. The Hines County School Board fired the Gary Road Intermediate School principal. So this is not even a teacher. This is a principal. Barking out the marching orders to all his teachers. Hey, you better put this new butt stuff in the classrooms pronto. It will be reflected in your report, your teacher fitness report. The Hines County School Board fired the Gary Road Intermediate School principal in 2022 after he read the book, I Need a New Butt, to his students. He sued and lost, but then appealed and he won it. Given the subject of the post, Kingfish, he always has to put in some type of crude joke, and I don't blame him for it because Kingfish keeping it real, not always my cup of tea per se, but when you got the Beavis and Butthead TP skit going on there. So when people call up this radio station and complain about parents who want to put their kids into private school, who want school choice, this is just another one of the 102 reasons why we do. School has absolutely no business reading this type of stuff. There are billions and billions of kids' books out there. You don't need this. How about if we started reading books about our founding fathers? About people who actually transformed this nation's history? heroic soldiers who did incredible things on Iwo Jima, Afghanistan, Iraq. Amazing fighter pilots like KC, who flew her A-10 over Baghdad, got her wings shot off, and still brought it home safely. She is an incredible pilot. General Lori Robertson, how about reading about her? There are all sorts of things you can read about. How about famous Mississippians who did great stuff? The Underground Railroad, how about that? There are so many things to read, but no, this principal thought that second grade kids needed to hear about "I need a new butt." And then there's some left-wing wacko activist judge who says, "Yep, that's right." And people wonder why society is so inflamed right now. And I just gotta say, to the political right out there who have been sitting back just letting it all go play out, they're just waiting for somebody on the right to crack, to flip. Which brings me to the Ilhan Omar attack. I think this is a total op. There's I they're sitting there looking at it, going back, and all of a sudden, he went from left-wing leaning to all of a sudden MAGA. And people are saying, "Yeah, he had his Ukraine flag too." That's just one piece of information. Do I know MAGA people who are pro-Ukraine? I know they exist. I don't know any personally. Let me get to the Newsweek here. Here it is. Who is Andy Kazmierski? Uh, you know me and names. I'll just tweet it out there. Omar suspect attacked. So there's 2 points to this Ilhan Omar attack that I want to talk about. First, I want to talk about the political part of it. Me being a recovering politician myself, there was nothing I enjoyed more than rolling up into a room full of haters and having an honest debate where wasn't shouting, wasn't doing anything like that. Whoever can scream the loudest must be right. That's a liberal tactic. That's garbage. And there is no real discourse that's being able to happen right now. And honestly, whether I like her or not, Omar should be able to get in front of her constituents and speak without the fear of having some substance squirted at her from a syringe. By the way, where did that idea come from? Go look up nurses of TikTok and the girl from Duke, that nurse from Duke, who talked about using a syringe to poison ice. It's out there. Duke had to fire her. There's a whole big investigation on that. I don't wanna get into it more than I have to, but as a politician, I look at these things because, when I was actually serving, active duty politician, if you will, I loved going out and meeting people, and it was always great to get in front of the crowds that were your supporters, and they'd scratch your back and, "Oh, Andy's doing a great job, blah, blah, blah." But I also liked going into the places where these people have been screwed over for decades, sometimes 20, 30 years, where they have been promised a drainage, uh, restoration, whether they've been promised a new road, and they voted for the same joker over and over again. "Bob promises this, Bob promises that." And after 2 years, all of a sudden, their drainage issue is fixed, their road is repaired, and I go in there, and I'm still the worst thing since Beelzebub. I enjoyed that. Never once did I think I was gonna get punched in the face, attacked, or otherwise scored. Even the union guys, Local 150 would send in their bruisers, and they would get inside your personal space bubble and try to intimidate you. Didn't work. I just went on doing my business. But when you start having people now, and it's always on the political left. Clay did a Grok search, and Grok, by the way, is becoming more and more liberal every day. It's trying to give you excuses not to give you the data that you're looking for. But when you can't go in front and have a meaningful conversation, things like Charlie Kirk happen. Things like Elon Omar happen. Robert Kennedy Jr. or Robert Kennedy, excuse me, John Kennedy, Ronald Reagan, President Trump twice. The political left can't control itself. And I'm not saying that they don't have issues that need to be heard and deserve to be heard. But at no time is it ever okay to go storm a politician, especially when they're having a hometown meeting inside their district. You can go there and protest, but what's even protest anymore, you know? What's even protest anymore? Is it sitting there listening? Is it picketing? Is it shouting down a politician? We're supposed to be the United States of America, not the House of Commons in England. But yet here we are in 2026. It's hard to campaign. It it literally, one of the best ways to go out there and do it is go door to door, especially in these small school board elections and everything like that. Go door to door. Man, you knock on a door, you don't know what the heck you're gonna get. When we get back, I'm gonna tell you about my greatest door to door story. It was awesome. It was great, and it kinda proves my point. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back.
Hi friends, welcome to Katie Tales. Today we're reading I Need a New Butt by Don McMillan. I need a new butt. Mine's got a crack. I can see in the mirror a crack at the back. Did I do it on the slide? Or on the banister inside? Or when I jumped my BMX? Or with the fart that happened next? Of course, the fart. That's what blew my butt apart. Split the thing clean in two. Now I wonder what to do. I need a new one, a green one or a blue one, a fat one or a thin one, a wood one or a tin one. Why not an arty farty butt? One not to be forgotten, with watercolors on the top and a mural on the bottom. Or yellow spotted, purple dotted, a butt with color, a butt with flair.
And we are back here at the Andrew Gosser Show. I was just having a YouTube video go during the break with someone reading I Need a New Butt by Don McMillan. I highly encourage anybody to go out there and read it, and you make the decision for yourself. Should this be something in a school classroom or not? And I always like pulling from places, local news where I can find them. And looking here at the Magnolia Tribune, they've got a whole story on education freedom. Russ Laterno doing work, and we respect Russ, don't always agree, but 74% of likely Republican primary voters support the Mississippi Education Freedom Act. Russ, I do think that there are a majority of people who want that, but I also think that there's a lot of people who don't know everything that's in that bill. And not only that, then you've got to look at the naming right, the name of the bill itself. Who's going to vote against the Civil Rights Act of 2026? Who's going to vote against the Clean Water Bill of 2014? If you're watching on the webcam, you see me raising my hand. I actually did vote against the Clean Water Act because it was crazy. They wanted to have water come out cleaner than what's coming out of a spring. We got to reduce the amount of arsenic in the water. We're already at two parts per billion or million or whatever it was. And I'm like, then the health department came like, yeah, there's 15 parts per billion. And I'm like, so how are we going to do that? Oh, we're going to have to build this brand new water treatment plant to refine the water even more. So you're telling me that the water, are we like have arsenic in the water? Are we having a problem there? And turns out it was just a stunt to make it better. We got to be doing something. Politicians already have to be doing something. Boy, you should have seen the hooting and hollering there. And it ended up failing, by the way, which was a good thing. But I wanted to tell a story about going door to door because, in today's society, nobody really knows their neighbors anymore. You'll follow them on Facebook or Insta, maybe catch them on the TikTok, something like that. But don't really know your neighbors. So it was January. It was cold. It was really cold. It was about 15 degrees. And it was a special election, and it was a Republican primary, so I had a list of 25 doors I had to go hit that afternoon. All Republicans, sign, get the signature on there, so I ring the doorbell, this guy comes up. A beautiful home, sidewalk shoveled, really nice, everything well taken care of, and it was one of these doors where it was a double glass door with glass on either side of it. And the guy comes out and I'm going, "Yep, I'm trying to get this guy on the ballot. And I see that you're an active Republican voter. This is information." And I go into the spiel. I'm not going to spill it with you, but he's like, "Nah, I'm a Democrat." And so I said, "Oh, okay. Real quick, sir, is this you? Because I just want to remove you from the Republican voter roll. I don't want to waste money spending stuff to you here." And he's like, "Nope, I just blank around in your elections." And this guy decides he's gonna be the main character of the story and reach back to Oklahoma and slam his glass door in my face in the 15-degree weather. dudes, the door shattered, 2 of the panes shattered, 1 of the doors didn't shatter. I just start laughing at this guy, man, because now not only is it 15 degrees, but he needs a new door and 2 new window panes, and I mean, these are the full up it must have been 8, 9-foot window pane, and I was laughing so hard, I gave him my card, and he goes, "I'm gonna sue you." I just gave him my card and walked away. But what's that say about us being able to civilly talk to each other? Not that I w would not that I would be, pleasant to speak to Elon Omar, but I'd be civil about it. Would you? Could you have a discussion with someone on the other side like Charlie Kirk did? I gotta tell you, I like to think I would. When I see friends from that I served in the Air Force with, and they're saying, "Andy, I'm not sure I agree with you on this," I immediately invite them on the show. "Hey, let's talk about it." "Well, I don't wanna get on the air and talk about it." "Why not? Why not have that open air sunlight talking about should, this pretty guy been shot or not?" And have those questions where we can ask questions like that. I think it's really important. I found out that there was a guy who I'm really close with. We completely disagree politically, and he didn't wanna talk about it. His wife was really worried about it, but it wasn't a big deal. It was great. We're actually closer friends now because we had that, and we make each other think. You know, the university, the college scheme, if you will, was always thought about enlightenment in teaching people to critically think. What we're teaching society to do now is not critically think. It's to get mad, get angry, take a bunch of pills from, pharmaceutical companies, and then go around and rage around and act the fool. That's that's exactly what the other side, not even the other side, it's what the political class wants, and how we have to stop that. So how do you stop it? Just locally? I'm really excited because I know we're gonna have State Rep Fred Shanks on in the upcoming weeks, and we're gonna talk about civic engagement and community building, real community building, not raging around, trashing neighborhoods because you don't agree with what the mayor said, but how to get involved in local politics. I find that fascinating. I'm excited because my daughter was even asking a question about that the other day. "Dad, I think I wanna do a podcast." "Oh, let's do it." Maybe have her come in on a Founding Father Friday. Take her out of school. She'll get more education out of that than she would being in some of these schools here in Hinds County, I'll tell you that right now. And some of us have the ability to pull our kids out and go to a private school, and some of us don't. But when we see stuff like this, and I haven't even gotten to the judges thing, which I genuinely feel that'll be what in my opinion, the tipping point will be, is when there is just such an egregious ruling that not only, uh, angers one side or the other, but it angers both sides. Kind of like how there are some 2A people right now who are complaining about carrying a gun to a protest. You're absolutely within your right to do that, and I don't understand why some, people inside the government say, "You can't do that." You can, but does it mean you should? You have a right to scream fire in a movie theater if there's a fire, and you should. But you don't have the right to scream fire in a movie theater when there's not and incite a panic. You know, I can put myself into a situation where we were in Afghanistan and I saw what I deemed to be combatants openly carrying weapons, not necessarily aiming at me, but m barrels in the air with their finger. Within a half a second, they could pop me. Yeah, I was a little bit nervous. Same thing for these law enforcement officers. And then you have these Karens getting on Facebook and YouTube. Some of them got incredible amount of views, 400,000 views. Andy, is that really a lot of views? It's more than CNN or MS Now. Doing a 32nd of a hundredth breakdown by breakdown, second by second breakdown like that. It just it's not the way it works. And it's tragic what happened to this dude who got shot with a cell phone in his hand and with a gun on him with a couple magazines in his pocket or whatever he had. It's his right. But just like this hoodie says, like I'm wearing right now, fool around and find out. And let me say something else too, because there's the AI images that are coming out. I don't know if you've seen them. I've got it here on my saved X accounts here. It's absolutely frightening. MSNBC, MS Now, or whatever it's called, is actively photoshopping, for lack of a better word, the picture of this guy. And this is coming from the red line or the redheaded libertarian on X, TRHL official. And it's got two pictures of Alex Pretty. One is his real picture, and the other one is the AI enhanced slash photoshopped. And this is what they did with Renee Good too. Do you see what the left is doing there with the mainstream media? They're taking arguably some of the worst in our society who do not support our society norms, rules. They're trying to rewrite them. And they making this guy look totally different. So what did they do? They shrank his forehead. They gave him more hair on the top of his head. They whitened his teeth, gave him a thicker jawline, gave him some biceps. Looks like they cranked up the hue on it too. And you could see that at andrewgosser.com or Andrew Gosser on X. I retweeted it. But the mass formation psychosis is real. The Operation Mockingbird deal is in full effect. And we are seeing it right in front of our eyes. And oh, by the way, silver, I think, just hit $115 an ounce. When we were talking about it, it was 40. Something ain't right with the dollar, ladies and gentlemen. Something ain't right. It's right in front of you. Are you going to take the red pill or the blue or the black? You're listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We'll be right back. Hey, we're on off the air. Can you wait till we get it back on the air?
I got you. This is JB.
Oh, Pastor, give me just 1 second.
Yes, sir. What you say?
Oh, yeah. Welcome back to the Andrew Kosser Show. Moving and grooving right here on a Wednesday. Pastor JB, you there?
Yes, sir, I am. How are you today, sir?
I am wonderful, blessed, and warm. How you doing?
I'm the same. I'm on the highway, so I may be cut off, so I won't keep you long.
Okay, have at it.
Kennedy, the young man that was killed over in Minneapolis.
Yep.
I heard that it's against the law to carry a gun at a protest. So he had broken the law.
I have not seen that. And
Okay.
if you can send that to me, if anybody can send that to me, I will recant that. But there is no rule law that as far as I'm concerned, saying you can't carry a firearm at a protest. I just haven't seen it.
Well, I guess in Minnesota. But let's face it, it is a blue state. But anyway, and so he evidently quit his job about 3 months ago. He walked away.
My goodness, how is he paying his bills?
Yeah, and so I saw the Epoch Times, I believe, yesterday. There was a statement from his parents, from the family, and evidently one of the news, the legacy media, one of the anchors or one of the commentators talked about it after the young man had gotten killed, I think. And but anyhow, they stopped short. They said that there was a statement from the family, but they didn't read the statement.
Mm-hmm.
And the family had advised him to pull away from some of that stuff. Plus, he had begun to act irrationally. Of course, the media won't show that. We have an ER nurse, and after all, I mean, he's cared for our veterans, but they didn't say, they refused to say what had happened in his life. But that statement from his parents that asked him not to do that. If he did go to a protest, to stay back.
Yep.
But he was evidently had become radicalized. But just going on with what you're saying, how they enhanced him, just like Renee Good. I understand that she lost kids because of the abuse of her partner. So she was in an abusive relationship as well. You have a blessed day.
Yep, Pastor JB, I got a couple things I want to say, but I know you're driving. I'll let you drive. Stay safe, my friend, and keep listening, and we'll talk again soon.
All right, I'll share the information with you.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Pastor JB, isn't it funny how they'll always preach a narrative to you as long as it fits their narrative? But as soon as it deviates from what they want to hear, it's like they won't stay on that narrative. They'll just kind of let it go. It's kinda like preaching John 3:16 without preaching John 14:6 as well. You gotta have them both. You gotta have a whole rounded sermon in there. You have to have the whole rounded story. You just can't pick and choose. And Pastor JB, I did reach out to a couple of my friends, in Minnesota. It's really incredible. I don't understand how, I have so many friends who are so closely involved with what's happening in Minnesota, but I do. And, I did ask, is it illegal in the state of Minnesota to protest with a firearm? Again, this is just my personal opinion on this. This is just my personal opinion. If you wanna go protest, definitely go do it. Bring your flags, bring everything like that, but don't go with the intent to get involved in an altercation, because that's gonna be bad. And this is just me. Um, I'm not sure. Well, actually, I think I would bring my firearm to a protest. Not that I think it's something that I need to do, but I'm packing everywhere. I mean, I'm driving through Jacktown. You better be jacked in Jacktown. Kim Way to let you know. By the way, brother Kim, happy birthday again yesterday. I was so honored to be on your 70th anniversary or birthday show. Really special. And it's just one of those things where, um, again, I would say, Pastor JB, you have good discernment. I have good discernment. So many people out there have good discernment. They are being still and know, gentle answers, not harsh words. I mean, all of this stuff, you raised up in that way. All of a sudden, you'll see your mind think in that way, and it's a fight for our kids' minds, and we potentially have something here. My goodness, it's just one of those things where the guy's family, like you said, the Epoch Times had it, and it's all over X too, where the family was worried about this guy. And here's the thing, law enforcement, federal law enforcement, quote unquote, the feds could go in and see where's he getting his money from? Was he living off maybe he saved up hundreds of thousands of dollars and he didn't have to work anymore and he could just be a professional rioter. That's great. What if he was getting money from George Soros? That would be nice to know, don't you think? We played the Turning Point video where it's I mean, we shouldn't be laughing at it, but it's a rented U-Haul with a bunch of signs with people who are not from the state going ahead and handing them out. And good on that journalist for not handling a sign. "Look, I'm a journalist. I can't be involved. I'm just here to report." Yep. We are just in strange, strange times. And we still haven't even talked about the syringe attacker with Elon Omar. There's more information coming out by by the minute about who this guy is. And, there's some compelling things here to say he might be MAGA, but if I'm looking at this, I'm saying it's a op. Think about all the negative press that Elon Omar's gotten just in the last 48 hours. Her wineries disappeared. She's got went from being basically broke in Congress to $25 million, and she is in a world of hurt. We need to go ahead and rehabilitate her situation. I mean, good on that guy who tackled this guy who attacked Elon Omar, but going after a sitting congressman with a syringe, why not a firearm or a knife or something else? It'll be interesting to see what was in that syringe, and the way that Elon Omar was so brazen about it, she's like, "No, I'm gonna finish." It's almost like she knew that what was ever in that syringe wasn't gonna hurt her. They said it stunk really bad. But either way, we condone attacking any Congress critter. We don't need that. What we do need is more of people like you listening in this audience to be actively involved in the process. It's saying here that the perpetrator does not ever appear to have been charged with a violent crime. He's been convicted twice of driving while under the influence of alcohol, according to records reviewed by Newsweek, and filings from a divorce in 2017. He has 2 children who was not employed and was not receiving disability insurance payments. He has been married and divorced twice, CNN said, citing Minnesota's official marriage and divorce records. Bankruptcy in 2019, and has a lot of medical debt. He was living in the Lindenhurst neighborhood of Minneapolis, not married, registered as disabled, and receiving Social Security payments. And now here comes the good stuff, a Facebook profile. I wonder if this guy's Facebook profile is still available. I'm almost betting it's not, but, you know, if it's a liberal and the Facebook profile is anywhere bad, then it's gonna be taken down. And the examples of this are like the Tennessee shooter and all that, uh, who shot up the school, the guy who shot up the school in Minneapolis. They took down those profiles really quick. Yep, his Facebook profile is down, so it's safe to say that this was an entire op, and let's not fall for it. When we get back, we're gonna have the final segment of the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back. Yeah. Welcome back to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. Unknown texter comes in with the off the top rope, shoulder, elbow drop. The head nod and not immediately going to the hospital for potentially being sprayed with a chemical or hazardous substance is enough confirmation for me that something stinks about this. What would you do if someone sprays you with some unknown mist coming out of a syringe and it's absolutely bat spit crazy? I just got sent another photo montage of these kids and his family. Blue hair, the nose ring. Am I profiling? I kinda am. Drew Kazmarek, whatever, goes by the pronouns she, they, queer, posting "Hands off Minnesota, reject Pam Bondi's demands, bring signs and banners and line Lake Street from wherever, and tell ICE to get the F out of Minnesota." It's all right there for us to see. Do we wanna see it? It's like we're the crowd, and we're looking at the king who's naked. Is anybody gonna tell the king that he's naked? I don't know. I don't know if America has the stones to do that. I'd like to think that we do. People are sitting here asking more questions about that. I'll tell you this, I am excited because it appears as though that we're starting to find, some common sense in this nation. I didn't get a chance I had a whole 20-minute segment on this, but another state has joined the conventions of state. Kansas has now just been added to the state number of states, 20, that have passed a Convention of States resolution. The Convention of States resolution has 3 subject matters: impose fiscal restraints, limit the power and jurisdiction of the federal government, and term limits for all officials in Congress, including the Senate. Mississippi is part of the Convention of States. Brother John out there, John Armstrong, I believe, is big believer in this, and I am. There are many conservatives who's not. They're like, "You know that what that can do? That can open up the bevy into a bunch of disastrous things that could happen to the Constitution." And I would just say, "Would you look what's happening in Washington, D.C. right now? We're still funding the Taliban. We're still funding all these NGOs that are poisoning us." There's another report too, you might have heard it. The obesity rate in America is going through the roof. By 2045, 50% of America could be considered obese. And look, there are people out there who will fight that battle with the bulge for their entire life. But when we have majority of our kids who are being subjected to not real food, but fake food, processed food, who aren't going out and getting exercise, but they can swipe left and swipe right. They can pilot a drone off their iPhone device like nobody's business. When we don't have a healthy lifestyle being portrayed and promoted in the United States of America, well, that's just another way to take us down. I mean, you look at some of these social justice warriors out there in Minnesota right now, they are not healthy. Not just mentally, but physically. People look, "Well, Andy, you're not looking too good too." Yeah, I realize that, but it's not from a lack of me not wanting to. And that's something else that has to be actively looked at. So I'm excited for the convention of states. Things I didn't get to this show, I didn't get to a lot of the rage bait audio clips that I had, especially from CNN. They had Tiffany Cross on there again. That girl is just plumb crazy. She's absolutely nuts. And I know that that is kind of like what gets some people really excited to listen to the show, to hear the leftist lunacy. But I feel it's important that we put some of the positive stuff out there too, like Commissioner Andy Gibson taking donations at the Restored Armory right there at the Agricultural Convention Center there in downtown Jackson. They've got a truck going out there daily, bringing supplies up to those in northern Mississippi who need it. Look, this is Mississippi strong. We're not sitting here depending on the local government. We're depending on each other, helping our neighbors, our individual charity, our individual spirit. And that's how it's got to be. If you're sitting here waiting the entire time for the government to take care of you, you're going to be sadly mistaken, my friends. You might have a generation that it can take care of, maybe two. But at some point, that money's going to run out. That quote unquote government good deal is going to fall short. And then what? So if there's any way for you to go ahead and help out our people up north, let's do that. Let's keep our linemen in prayer. Take care, everybody. Be blessed.